There's an edited version of a speech delivered by Michael Kirby at the Sydney Institute on December the 14th. On November the 15th, 2017, I received the welcome wake-up call at my hotel in Bangkok. It was my partner of 48 years, Johan, phoning to tell me of the outcome of the postal survey, just announced, in favour of an Australian law on same-sex marriage. The vote, 61.6% yes, 38.4% no, confirmed countless opinion polls. So, it was not really surprising. Such polling is pretty accurate now and could have been conducted for a fraction of the costs of the postal vote. However, the flawed process demanded by the government had a silver lining. It propelled the federal parliament to do what 25 other countries had achieved, many of them long ago, to enact marriage for people who happen to be gay. The legislation was finally passed on December the 7th, 2017, by overwhelming votes of the House of Representatives and the Senate. It had taken an awful long time. I was in Bangkok for a conference on a rather more pressing and urgent, but connected, subject. The meeting had been convened by the Asia-Pacific Coalition on Male Sexual Health, APCOM. It was celebrating its 10th anniversary. It invited me to reflect on the struggles faced in Asia and the Pacific Islands to overcome violence and discrimination against the LGBTQ minority, gays and trans people in the most populous countries on Earth. As I reflected on the arguments that had just been addressed in Australia, to oppose or delay gay marriages, I had plenty of time to consider the even more heroic struggles of the mostly young, multiracial, multi-religious participants who were surrounding me. Their struggles involved, literally, matters of life and death. Not all the news from their region was uplifting and encouraging. I was touched that they interrupted their program and asked me to tell the story about how marriage for gay and trans people in Australia was achieved. They hoped to draw from that story a message of encouragement for themselves. Of course, I had to warn the participants of the peculiarities of the Australian scene and the need for caution in translating our delayed achievement of marriage rights in Australia to apply in the much more hostile environment of Asia. Australia's historical bias against gay men. In Australia, we had begun, as many of their countries did, with the same English legal heritage. It was biased against gay men. But the process of reform had started with the change of the criminal law in 1974 in Don Dunstan's South Australia. Until the criminal laws were changed, it was difficult or impossible to secure effective laws prohibiting discrimination, let alone laws providing for marriage. That was literally icing on the cake. In many of the countries represented at the Bangkok conference, Bangladesh, Brunei, Malaysia, Maldives, Pakistan and Singapore, the criminal law continues to punish gays. Getting rid of those laws was proving extremely difficult both because of religious and cultural conservatism. Throughout much of Asia and the Pacific, the victims of stigma did not have the astonishing spectacle of religious opponents solemnly denying homophobia while urging that we should do hostile things. In much of Asia, Islamic, Christian and other religious leaders outdo each other in exposing frank and honest homophobia.